Hey guys, welcome to It's a Barbie's Birthday Party Part 3. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I made the cake and all of the treats that I put on the dessert table. I started off by baking the cakes, making the Rice Krispie treats, and other stuff in advance so that I had more time to decorate and put everything together. When I first started making Rice Krispie treats, they always came out stale. By the next day, they were so stale. So I stopped following the recipe on the box and I just kind of played around with recipes and added a little bit more butter and an entire package of 16-ounce marshmallows, and then just added the Rice Krispies according to how it looked and when I thought that it had enough, and it worked out better for me. Also, I found out that if you vacuum seal or an airtight container and then freeze them, they stay fresh a lot longer. These brownies were a hit. I will link the recipe down below for you guys because it's just too much for me to tell you, but I just used box Giardelli brownie mix, and that's the most important part. Get a good brownie mix, and then I made the Oreo mousse filling, and then I just put an Oreo in between and I sandwiched them, and then I put them in the freezer until the day of the party, and I just brought them out and let them defrost for about 30 minutes. After that, they were so delicious, people were raving about them. I believe one of the comments was, and I quote, "They taste like 1,000 calories." But I mean, come on guys, it was a special celebration, and sometimes it's okay to indulge. And one of the cool things about these brownies is that you can keep them in the freezer and take them out whenever you need just that one special treat to get you by. The last thing that I made in advance were these sugar cookies. And these sugar cookies will last in your freezer for months, but I only put them in there for a week and they were perfect, if not better. I looked around on Etsy and Amazon for these Barbie cutters, and I did find some, but I was already spending so much money on other stuff that I didn't really find myself wanting to pay for it. So instead, I had these sheets left over from my son's birthday party that I never used, and I had bought a heat gun and basically just made it myself. So it's a little rough around the edges, but it got the job done, and I think that it came out pretty good. But I definitely could use a little bit more practice making stencils and using the stencil gun. Pretzels are probably the easiest to do, and they will last for a couple of weeks, non-refrigerated. You just put it in a box and let it sit for up to 2 weeks and they're good to go. They're pretty self-explanatory when it comes to decorating. There's really not a whole lot to it, so I'm just gonna let you see for yourself how I did it. Just make sure that you let your pretzels dry completely before you add decorations to them. Unless you're putting sprinkles, then you want to put them on while they're still wet. It's just my preference maybe, but I like to keep all of my treats in bags. Appropriate size bags that are made for those treats. I think that it's very important. I don't always put tags on them, but I always put them in bags, and I put ribbon around them to keep them fresh, and they last so much longer, and I think that it just makes it look so much more luxurious. And if you're selling your treats, it just sells them so much better. These are champagne straws, and I'm cutting them in half so that I could get double the amount. I had trouble finding straws everywhere, so I found these in the wedding department at Walmart, and I think they're perfect. Straws are pretty big, and so when you put them in between the cookies, they can wobble around in there, so it was easier for me to pinch them closed so that when I go to sandwich the cookies, the straw is not so bulky and it closes the cookie better. Personally, I like to dip my Oreo Pops. I just think that it uses less chocolate and it's not as sweet when you go to bite into the cookie. There's not as much chocolate. But when I'm dipping them, I do like to dip it 2 or 3 times just in case there's any extra air bubbles, because I do use the double stuffed Oreos. There's a little bit more space in between the cookies, so you need to make sure to double or triple dip them into the chocolate so that the chocolate coats evenly around the cookie. The sugar cookies took the longest out of everything to make, including the cake. I'm not kidding. So after I outlined and filled each cookie, I let them dry in my dehydrator for about 10 to 13 minutes, just so the outside crusts over and will be dry enough for you to decorate on top of them. If you're using marker like I did, you're going to want to make sure that the cookies are dry enough so that the tip of the marker doesn't penetrate through the top of the royal icing. So if you don't have a dehydrator, the next best thing would be to use your oven. And you could put it on a very low temperature, like around 150 degrees, and let them sit in there for about 10 to 13 minutes just so that they will dry faster. Or you could put them under a fan for a good 30 minutes to an hour, or let them dry overnight before you start decorating them. Also, some of my cookies bowed while sitting in the freezer, which is normal, but that's another reason why I like using my dehydrator or putting them in the oven to dry, because the warmth from the oven will actually soften the cookie and flatten them back out. And don't worry about this affecting the taste of your cookie. It will not dry them out. In fact, if you package them like I do, they will stay fresh for a good week. And even though I'm not a professional cookie decorator, these cookies still came out really good and they looked really cute, and I even gave some leftovers to a few people, and I got a lot of compliments from the people that they gave them to, so I'm really happy that I made them. If you're interested in the recipe, check out my Dodgers themed cookies and cake pops. I'll link it in the description box below. In that description box, there is the recipe in there. Go check it out. Okay, one more thing. So I got these stencils from the Dollar Tree, and it came in a pack of 4. And I thought that they worked pretty good, but I did use my marker on this particular design. On the other ones, I used my airbrush machine.
When I was a little girl, I believed in fairy tales. I wished my toys would come to life and that my stories could be real. Then through all the noise and confusion, I believed it was all an illusion. The world had faded black and white, nothing seemed to be right. But now I know that how it goes is that my dreams never die. As long as I keep the magic inside me alive. Do you believe in magic? Do you believe in magic? As simple as a wave, special moments made when you believe in magic.
There really isn't much to say about the cake. I kept it really simple on purpose. I was busy decorating the house and putting everything together, and the next day I had to start preparing the food and stuff. So I didn't have time to really work on a very elaborate cake, but I really liked the way it came out. I couldn't make up my mind how I really wanted it to be, and this just came out of kind of frustration of not knowing what I wanted, and I just put it together. So I'm very happy with it. I like the offset look of the bows. I'm not really too happy with her name plaque, but like I said, I didn't have a whole lot of time to put it together, so it is what it is. I wish I would have spent more time on showing you how I did the top, because I did put some swirls up there and some more sprinkles, and I put some heart-shaped fondant pieces up there and stuff just to make it look cuter, I guess. And then we finish it off by dousing it in glitter. My sister really liked it. She took a really cute photo of it. I put a Barbie next to it, and I called it a Barbie cake. It was super, super simple, and it coordinated with everything else. I think it's cute. My daughter really loved it. Alright, so we're back here at the Rice Krispie treats, and I'm about ready to start decorating them. And I just wanted to show you that I used the same technique that I used on the Oreo Pops, and I pinched the top of the straw so that it would fit in there flat and it wouldn't take up too much space inside the Rice Krispie treat. Mentioned this in how I made my cake pops and Dodger themed cookies. Whenever I'm packaging up my goodies, I always tape the bottom of the package first and before I put my ribbon. That way it keeps it airtight and secure, and it keeps it from going stale faster. The last thing that I made were these cake pops, and oh my gosh, did they come out so good. These were Funfetti flavored. I didn't make a whole lot of chocolate anything because my daughter doesn't really like chocolate. She prefers the flavor of vanilla better. So the only chocolate theme that I had were the brownies, and I'm glad that I made them because they were such a big hit. But these cake pops came out so good. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I froze the cake after it was baked. I don't know what it was, but they were just so delicious. And I added confetti to them, so they made them more birthday themed, and they were perfect. My favorite way of making cake pops is standing upright. I think that they're just so much easier to make, and they look so much cuter on display this way, and you don't have to worry about getting a stand for them either. And whenever I do them this way, I like to stamp them in standing sugar and then use a spoon to put sugar on a little bit up the sides of the cake pop itself, and it just gives it a little dimension, and it just looks cute. You don't have to do a whole lot to decorate a cake pop. If you just do this and then just put a couple of sprinkles at the top, you're good to go. Again, guys, I was just trying to keep it all very simple. Whenever you're doing a big party like this, and especially if you're gonna have this many treats, you definitely don't wanna go overboard with the decorations. It kind of it's a little loud and it shows too much on the party table, so it's better to keep it simple and elegant. Take a break because we were using Giardelli, the white chocolate for the cake pops, and it's not that it just dries quick, but the consistency of this chocolate is so much better than the candy melts that you get from Wilton. We picked up these, and I accidentally picked up the strawberry ones. I thought they were pink, but they're actually strawberry flavored. So she heated it up like she did the other one, and what happened was it developed an elephant skin on it. I don't know if you could see that on the camera.
All clumpy.
Yeah, it's like clumpy. And so what happened was it got too hot. And so how I fixed it was we added some Easy Thin into the chocolate, and then you let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes so that it stops the seizing part. And what I also did was I put some white chocolate in there, some almond bark, to help bring down the temperature a little bit, more lucid and fluid. So now it should be safe enough for us to dip. The thing about using the Easy Thin though is that it is going to take longer for the chocolate to dry, but you can stick it in the refrigerator and it'll harden faster. So we're gonna go ahead and dip one and give it a go. I normally don't dip my cake pops. Usually I use a spoon and cover them, but because we're using straws instead of sticks, the straws are a little bit more sturdy for these cake pops, and they allow the cake pop to like adhere to the stick. And also I find that when I use fresh cake, like from scratch dough, it also is a little bit more sturdy too, so it can stand the weight from the chocolate. really wish I would have gotten better pictures of the dessert table. I had my desserts scattered everywhere, but I wasn't thinking clearly. I was so super busy hosting the party, but it all looked really cool, and I couldn't have been any happier with how it all came out. I made 2 dozen of everything, and it was way too much. Hardly any of it was actually eaten at the party itself, and I gave most of it away at the end. But note to self, whenever making this many treats, you don't need so many. 1 dozen would have been plenty. But you know, I was being a little extra. I wanted to do the mostest for my daughter, and so I did, and it all came out great. And I couldn't have done it better without Danielle's help. She really did outdo herself and really helped me out a lot. So thank you, Danielle, for helping me. So I guess this is it. This concludes part 3 of my Barbie birthday party. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please like and share and all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Hey! Come back with that! But they're so good! Oh shit.
This girl, I swear to God, was.
I'm so yummy!
That's how I keep my friends around. I feed them cake and buttercream. You could see that the cake pop is not going to fall off no matter what you do. Oh man, I just messed up my point, man.
When I was a little girl, I believed in fairy tales. I wished my toys would come to life and that my stories could be real. Then through all the noise and confusion, I believed it was all an illusion.